Folkestone in Kent has attracted visitors by rail since 1843, when the direct railway line to London was built.
Take us down to the coast, and we will find our way.
Nowadays, train tourists are just as likely to come from France via the nearby Channel Tunnel. Or by car from the M20 or M2 motorways. Whatever your route, the town is a classic seaside destination.
You can smell fish and chips, hear the seagulls squawking, and there's nowhere else I'd rather be, quite frankly. But the big question is, can you net yourself a property bargain here? Or will it be a red herring? I hope it's a lovely place. I better get my skates on then.
Enough of the fish puns. The architecture around here is really so impressive, so hopefully the lot I'm here to see will be too.
The last property to sell on this road achieved £79,000. It wasn't a house, it was a flat. And so when I saw the auction particulars for today's lot, my eyes widened. The guide price for a detached, double-fronted, four-storey property was set at just £100,000 to £110,000. An unusually low guide usually means I have to lower my expectations, and today's auction lot is no exception. Oh dear, oh dearie, dearie dear.
Yes, not what I was expecting. This double-fronted four-storey period property would have been splendid in its heyday, with these wonderful stone features and bay-fronted windows. Sadly, it's now in a sorry state. The rendering is falling off, most of the windows have gone, and it appears to be home to the pigeon population of Folkestone.
For just this skyline pigeon dreaming of the open, waiting for the day.
Suddenly, that £100,000 to £110,000 guide price looks like it could be a flight of fancy. I don't fancy the pigeons or going in. That sign is there for a very good reason. Thanks to the pigeons, inside, well, it's a health hazard, so I will be staying out here, thanks very much. Apart from the birds, this place would need a structural survey before anyone takes it on. Who knows what else could be lurking inside? The outside space isn't great for a building with such a big footprint, so I reckon turning this into a family house is a no-no. It's not looking good.
They say that appearances are deceptive, that you should never judge a book by its cover, and that beauty is often lurking within. They obviously haven't viewed this property. It's horrendous, smelly, and it's been empty for 25 years. But do I have good news? Hurrah. You see, they were right. This could be beautiful. You just have to look beyond the decay and destruction, and the auction particulars hint at a development opportunity. Once enhanced, the property may be suitable as a single-family residence. However, it's considered to have potential for conversion into 4 flats or maisonettes, subject to all the necessary consents being obtainable. Suddenly, this house isn't looking so bad after all.
Of course, it would be likely to cost more to turn it into 4 flats than 1 house. You would be talking about 4 bathrooms at least, as well as 4 kitchens, as opposed to 1 kitchen and 2 bathrooms for a house. And with flats, you've got to think about soundproofing and all the other building regulations. You have to bear all that in mind on top of just the basic renovation of this badly decayed building. And that guide price of £110,000 to £120,000. Now I'm wondering what the rental potential of flats in this area might be. We asked a local estate agent.
Ideally, with this particular area of Folkestone, it's mainly the flat conversions that will market better. As a single dwelling, it would be marketable, but I would recommend certainly converting it to flats. They're sorely needed in this side of Folkestone.
What resale value could a 1-bed or a 2-bed achieve in this part of town?
this side of Folkestone, you'd be looking to market a two-bedroom of good condition around about £70,000 on the market to achieve around about £65,000. To sell a one-bed would be marketing around about £55,000 and achieve £50,000.
Providing the property does obtain planning permission for conversion into 4 two-bed flats, based on that £65,000 valuation, they could be worth £260,000. But how much could the property be worth if it was converted into just a single house?
As a single dwelling in this area, even refurbished to a high standard with lack of parking, you're probably not going to achieve much more than £220,000.
With so much work to do, judging from the outside, I doubt if conversion into a house would be that much cheaper than conversion into 4 flats. But what about the rental opportunity for a 1 or 2 bedroom flat?
A two-bedroom, you'd probably be looking to achieving £425 per calendar month. A one-bedroom flat or apartment, you'd be looking to achieve £350 per calendar month.
This isn't a project for the faint-hearted, but whoever takes this on, well, they could really reap an impressive reward. I mean, you can't argue with those figures. Let's see who fancied this when it went under the hammer.
It's the freehold, double-fronted, 4-storey period property. Got a guide of 100 to 110,000. And what may I say? Start me at £100,000? £100,000 to start me? Thank you. £100,000 I have. 105 and 10, sir. 106. 106 I have. 108. 108 and 110. 110 and 112. 112 and 115. 115 and 118. Yes, 118 and 120. 120, 122. 122. 123 I have in the room. 124 and 125. 125 and 126. 126 I have. 127. 127. 128 will. 128 and 129. 129 is big. 130 it has to be. 129 in the room. If anyone else wants to join in, please feel free. At £129,000 then, gentleman on my left, for the first time, 129,000 for the second time, the third and final time at 129,000. Are you all done? Sold at 129,000.
That final bid of £129,000 was made by Dave, who was at the auction with his wife, Ranj. He's only recently flown back from working in Hong Kong, where he worked in banking, and teamed up with Chris, an experienced property developer. We met up at a nearby social club to chat about their plans.
Dave and Chris, what I'd like to know is why you wanted to buy that property over the road.
Well, I think we were looking for something to do up, something that was derelict, because there's obviously some capital increase on the property when you do that. So we basically looked for the most derelict one at auction, and we bought it.
And funnily enough, you found it. So,
did.
Chris, you obviously weren't put off by the complete state of it.
No, it was part of the attraction, really, because not many people were really looking at it. So the price wasn't ridiculous, but it is pretty bad.
Did you guys go into the property prior to the auction to have a look around?
Yeah, absolutely. We checked it out before we bought it, and there were about 1,000 pigeons up in the attic, and then we had a full structural on the property as well. So yeah, it was sound. So that was the main thing. So
the structural survey came back sound?
Yeah, there's doesn't seem very much damp in there. The structure itself is good. It's always been vented because most of the windows are open. So no, there's no timber rot in there. The roof is quite sound. Because
I haven't been inside, talk me through the layout as it is at the moment.
Well, the basement there is 2 empty, completely stripped out, what looks to be apartments. On the first floor, you've got a single bed flat and then a single room. Same on the second floor and 2 flats on the top floor.
So what are you guys going to do with it? What is the grand plan?
The plan is we're going to try and turn it into 8 units. We probably get 7, we feel, and we'll put it on a long-term lease to the housing association.
So you're looking at 1 or 2 bedroom flats or studios?
There'll be either 1 or studios. That's what we've been asked to provide, really.
Dave and Chris are currently having initial plans drawn up and will then decide on the final layout they'll put forward for planning approval. But why the deal with the Housing Association and not just rent them on the open market?
Well, we can get a guaranteed rental for quite a long period, and they rent as well, even if they're empty. So, as a management point of view, we just look at it as it's a guaranteed return.
The council are very keen for properties that are derelict to get renovated. So we've already spoken with the council, we've been in to see them. They've got a huge demand for people, for the smaller units. 2 bedrooms aren't in such high demand, so that's why we figure we go for 1 beds or studios.
Are you confident you're going to achieve planning permission for the go-ahead for this project?
I think we will, because the council's so concerned with the condition of the property, and it doesn't reflect well on the area.
Dave and Chris met by chance when they both were viewing a disused nightclub that was going under the hammer. They got talking and decided to team up and start developing together. They didn't buy the nightclub, as it turned out, but they have bought a club in Dover, which will also be renovated to suit the council's needs. Dave has bought and renovated many properties over the years, and of course he has the financial expertise, having worked in banking.
So, Chris, what's your background?
Development work, really. I've always been involved in the construction industry in some form, but generally done it for other people. And I've started to look to go out on my own and do this. And then, fortunately, we've met up, and so we'll just be able to do it together and a little bit quicker, really.
What sort of budget do you think you're going to need to turn this place around?
It's going to be a little bit ballpark at this stage, but about 110 to 115,000.
And how long do you think it's going to take you to get it up and running?
After planning, about 7 months, I think, 7 to 8 months.
Good luck with this. A mammoth project ahead. Well done. Chris, lovely to meet you. Dave, well done.
Thank you.
Dave and Chris are certainly ambitious. 7 to 8 flats. I know it's a substantial property, but can it really take that amount of units? And I admire their courage. It's their first joint project, and they've only known each other a few months. So how will they get on, and how successful will they be with the planners? You can find out how the project goes later in the programme.
Time now to return to Folkestone for some sun, sea, sand and a suspiciously big job.
There may be trouble ahead.
Yes, this detached 4-storey period property certainly looks like trouble. It had a guide price of 100 to 110,000. The property was so run down it wasn't even safe enough to film in. But that wasn't enough to put off Chris and Dave, who paid £129,000 for the property and had some big plans for it.
The plan is we're going to try and turn it into 8 units. We probably get 7, we feel, and we'll put it on a long-term lease to the housing association.
We can get a guaranteed rental for quite a long period, and they rent as well, even if they're empty.
So we've already spoken with the council, we've been in to see them. The council are very keen for properties that are derelict to get renovated. They've got a huge demand for people, for the smaller units.
Dave and Chris initially estimated a 6-month timescale, but it was a huge project. 2 years later, we returned. Well, that's certainly a return to former glory. But inside, it's far from its old self. Chris and Dave have split the house into 7 small flats. Starting on the top on the 2nd floor, there are 2 one-bedroom flats, one on the right of the property, with an open-plan kitchen, and the second on the left, which, although has a small bedroom, boasts French doors, which help Folkestone's south coast sunshine to flood in. These 2 completed flats have acted as showrooms while Chris and Dave finished the 2 below. Ground left and 1st floor left will also be one-bedroom flats. However, the right-hand side of the property is slightly different. They've combined the 2 levels to create a 2-bedroom maisonette.
This is the maisonette that we've managed to produce in the building. This will be the lounge and kitchen area. Good sized bay windows. You've got a new staircase up onto the second floor, which gives you 2 bedrooms and a bathroom. And I think this makes a nice family-sized room, so it's not only just one person.
The final 2 flats are situated in the basement level, as these have their own access. Chris and Dave can finish developing them once the other 5 flats are completed and occupied. So they're well on their way then. When we first came to have a look, we couldn't even get inside. What was it like?
It was horrendous. I think, conservatively, there are probably about 200 pigeons in here. So when you, especially we're on the top floor now, and when we came up here, it was just disgusting.
Everything you see now is totally new. All flats have been rewired, replumbed, heatings, everything. Windows, the lot. It's taken quite a while. Structurally, it was fairly sound. We did find a couple of issues that we had to put right. Took a bit more time and money. But effectively, if there's shells there, you can cut it about and make up really what you want to.
Well, there's positive thinking. Solid structure, so all you have to do is entirely rebuild the inside of a property. No problem.
Don't worry about a thing. 'Cause every little thing gonna be all right.
The original plan was to work with the local housing authority and rent the properties. So how has that gone?
They don't give you grants as such, but they can lend money in certain circumstances. The housing association that we deal with will lock it in for 5 years. So we have a guaranteed rent for 5 years, albeit at a lesser market value.
So they're encouraging people to revitalise buildings, and as Dave said, we are quite proud of this, because this was the worst one I've ever done, and it's finally coming together.
This was a brave development. Chris and Dave have readjusted their budget, and the renovations will now cost a total of £145,000. Combined with their purchase price of £129,000, their total investment is £274,000. We've invited 2 local property experts to see if they think it's all been worthwhile.
It's a definite improvement to the building. Making it into flats, obviously leaving a property this large just sitting empty is a shame. There is a shortage of property around the area, especially for rental. So yes, they've done a nice job converting it into 7 flats.
I would think that it would make a very good investment portfolio for somebody. 7 flats, 1 building, quite easy to manage.
So that sounds like good rental and sales potential. Bonus. So what could the whole building sell for? Would they make a profit on their £274,000 investment?
If the whole building came onto the open market for sale, I think a potential landlord would probably pay about £320,000 for it.
If the whole building were put on the market for sale, I think we would achieve in the region of £330,000 to £350,000.
Well, that would give Chris and Dave a profit of between £46,000 and £76,000, minus the usual taxes and expenses. Crucially, though, they've always regarded this as a long-term investment, and they're looking to rent. So what kind of rental figures would these flats achieve on the open market?
The 1-bedroom flats, you're looking at about £400 a calendar month.
1-bedroom apartments in this area, and of the size that we've seen today, would achieve somewhere in the region of £375 to £425 per calendar month.
For the maisonette, the 2-bedroom, I would say we could get £450 per calendar month.
Rental of the 2-bed, I would think we would be able to market that at around £550 per calendar month.
Averaging those valuations would bring in an income of £2,900 per calendar month, and that is a yield of over 12%. How does that compare with Chris and Dave's deal with the Housing Association?
Well, we've managed to get the equivalent to £440 for the 1-bedrooms and £540 for the 2-bedrooms on a 5-year fixed with no void, so I think we've done a little bit better than that.
Yeah.
Wow. If you ever needed an example of excellent research into your market, this is it. They've created much-needed homes and restored a lovely old building, and they have a guaranteed 14% yield. So where now for this daring development duo?
If there's a project and we can do something with it and we can travel around a bit and have a bit of a laugh while we're doing it, find a local pub that we can always have a beer in, then we're away.